Is it Sunday? Are we in the NEC?
Yeah.
Are we here to listen to the Dice Tower guys?
No!
No. And notice that they show great minds think alike, that my hat and Tom's are the same. But they are Yorkshire houndstooth caps, bought in Yorkshire in this case. So the American invasion is here, but we don't want to be ugly Americans. And I was asked to be host, and I don't know why. So I'm not going to say much more. I will say the first time I heard of Tom Vasel, he was living in South Korea. I don't think it was North Korea.
No. We might not be here if it was North Korea.
And he wanted to review all the games in the world, and he still does. And of course, Dice Tower still wants to review all the games in the world, but there's a lot more, so he has a lot of guys helping him out.
Yeah.
And this is a Q&A session, so Millie is probably going to pass this around to people because I'm not mobile. And it's hard for them to hear your questions, so talk right close to the mic. And if that doesn't work, I will yell the question to them because I can hear it from the speakers, but the speakers are pointed so they can't hear it.
Yeah.
That's right. They need a monitor here.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right, who's first?
Question to Tom. When you think back to when you started out, what's your feelings on how it's gone with the Dice Tower now when you look back on where you started out?
Well, it's kind of amazing, right? Because when I started out, I just started reviewing games because I was bored and I wanted something to do. And so we had just moved to Korea, and I always liked board games my whole life. And so I said, oh, I want something to do with my wife and my friends. And so board games seemed like a good idea. And I believe we got Frag.
Yeah.
Right. Zombies. Axis and Allies Pacific. Axis and Allies Europe.
Yes.
Cosmic Encounter, Puerto Rico, and a few other ones. And I think the one we liked the best at first was Frag.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. In fact, I found a way to mix Frag with zombies. Yeah, so we just like started to get games and play them, and then I played a few and I really liked them, so I started writing a few reviews, and people said, "Oh, I like your reviews." I said, "Oh, okay." So I did some more, and that just kind of snowballed. I never thought we'd be here. That was never. I didn't have a 10-year plan. I just wanted to review games. So everything has always been very gradual, to the point where if people ask me, "What's your future plans?" I got plans for up to Essen.
Yeah.
And after that, I don't know. You know, because I don't know, just and also the board gaming changes so much. Like video never even crossed my mind. I bought a computer that had a webcam, and I thought, oh, video's easy. Which, in retrospect, is a lie. But the first ones were easy because I just turned it on and recorded, And now video is much more difficult than writing.
Yes.
But just, you know, and the podcast, so we keep changing. I don't know what we'll be doing. I always think of new ideas, and I bounce them around a while, and sometimes we do them, and sometimes they're awful, but sometimes they're good. And so, did I expect to be here? Not even a little. Where will we be in 10 years? I don't know, but probably running board gaming in general. No, I don't know.
Right, there was another one up here.
Another question for Tom. And maybe Sam.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Which do you prefer, playing with your friends or your family?
That's a good question. That's a good question. Yeah.
Okay, well, if it's my brothers and sisters and parents, friends. But that's because I haven't played games with them in years, and they are fun to play games with. It depends on the game, really. So if it's a family game, I'd rather play that with my family. If it's a strategy game, I'd probably prefer to play with... No, I'm going to say family, I think. Is that what you were going to do? I stole your answer? Go ahead.
I think, actually, it does actually depend upon the game. Because there are some games that I know my family won't enjoy. And I don't want to make them play games that they don't enjoy, just so that I can get to play it. I would much rather play games that I know they're going to enjoy with them. Now, the good thing about that is that with my family, they like a lot of different kinds of games. So I can play games that I really do enjoy with my oldest 2 sons. But I can't do that with my 5-year-old. So, I mean, right before we came here, we played, I guess, maybe 10 matches of Lupin Chewy before, the night before I left. But that was because he was having a great time, and I was trying to give him something before I left for a week. But it really depends on, I can have just as much fun with my family as I have with friends. It just depends upon the game and the experience.
Also, my kids are getting older, so it's easier for me to play more games with them. And also, if they act up, I can say, knock it off, and they have to.
Right. They must.
My friends, I just say,
please knock it off?
Let's go to dinner.
Great. All right. Someone else? Got a few down here. She's running around the back right now, so just a few moments.
So from what I understand, the UK Games Expo has grown every year. I wondered, based on your experiences with all the other conventions, what you feel is the upper size limit that UK Games Expo could grow to. Could it ever become another GenCon or Essen?
Right now, it's just a smidge smaller than Origins. Origins last year. Board gaming right now is exploding, so it's really hard to tell. I mean, all the conventions are going 10, 25% higher. They're selling out in minutes, the ones that have a limited number of tickets. So it's a little bit smaller than Origins, but Origins might be huge this year for all we know. Will this become like GenCon? I don't know. I'm going to guess no, because GenCon is pulling everyone from America and then across the world. Essen is pulling everybody from Europe and across the world. UK Gaming Expo is limited by water around there, so people can come, but it's expensive. So I think it will grow. I just don't think it will be as big as the other ones, and that's not a bad thing. For anyone here who's been to Essen or GenCon, I like being able to walk. And at Essen, everyone has trolleys of games that they're moving around. Yeah. And at GenCon, they are wearing costumes so big, and then people are taking pictures that it's a mess. Yeah. It's fun, but I actually like this better. This is a great size. Yeah.
Saying that it won't reach the level of a GenCon or an Essen is like he said, not a disparaging comment at all. It is actually, I mean, I've always told Tom before we came here that Origins was my favorite con of the year because of its size, because of its limited size, really.
Except Dice Tower Con.
Well, yeah, Dice Tower Con that was before Dice Tower Con started when I started saying that to him. So it has been a long time since I've been saying that. And to say that this size is around the size of Origins, for me, that's a huge plus, because it has a much more familial sense to it. There's more interaction that can be had. At GenCon, you're really just kind of trying to navigate the crowds. You're not interacting with the crowds. Here, I'm interacting with the crowds, and that's one of the things that we enjoy the most, at least for myself, is going to conventions, is getting to meet people and shake their hands, being able to put a face with a name and that type of thing.
Right. I just was talking to a publisher, and I said, see you at GenCon. And then I said, well, maybe, because that's a real possibility. So, but at the same time, this isn't too small. See, it's big enough that all the big publishers are starting to come, and that's great. So you have the benefits of the big convention and the advantages of the small convention. It's almost that perfect size.
Yeah.
So don't tell anyone else to come.
All right, someone else?
Will you ever create your own game?
What's that?
Will you ever create your own game?
Will I ever what?
Create your own game.
Create my own game. Was that for me or for him? For both. He's already created a game.
Two.
We don't count the first one, though.
The first one was Vicious Fishes, which I think at this point has sold 60 copies. I'm very pleased with that. I think...
It's a slow burn.
I think I got 10 euros out of that deal.
And then he's already done Nothing Personal. I've got a few ideas kicking around in my head, but they're not probably as grand or or as sparkling as Nothing Personal was. But yeah, it's always on the back burner because we've got so much work to do on the front 2 burners. So yes, but will they ever see the light of day? I don't know.
You were both clearly looking forward to eating fish and chips when you came to Britain. How did that experience live up to your expectation?
Well, you know, we have a fast food place in America. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called Long John Silver's. Now, again, starting off, it's fast food, so you already know it can't be that great. So they use the similar kind of batter. They use fish. They put it in the similar kind of, and they give them with French fries, chips. And so we're familiar with it, but the level of quality that we've had, if just Long John Silver's, I'll never go there again, you know, that type of thing. But
right.
It was very good. I had cod. He had haddock. He says the haddock was better than cod. I don't know. Is that true? Yeah. Okay. Yes. I was very, very, very happy with my cod. I'll put it that way.
Well, they were the same price. I liked it a lot, just like Sam, but it wasn't like it was a big surprise. I've had fried fish.
Yeah.
I've had chips. I've even had them together.
Yeah.
You know, so, but it was very good.
Yeah, it was. Now, I did have the mushy peas. He did not.
Oh, I had a spoonful?
No, he had a bite and he did not like it. I finished the bowl.
No, I said it was okay.
So it was very good. There you go.
What's your favourite game for you this year?
From this year. What's your favorite game from this year?
From this year? It's pretty close. I really like Mystic Vale from AEG a lot, but I'm probably going to go with Star Wars Rebellion. That's a really good game.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to go with that one as well. But keep in mind, though, that we're very early on in the year. I mean, I guess we're almost halfway through now, but there's a lot of games that are still set to be released this year. But right now, a very strong front runner is Star Wars Rebellion for me as well.
I'm hoping it's Seafall. We'll see.
Yeah.
Do you find that your experiences with your youth club influences your preference of games?
Our experiences with what?
Your youth club?
Oh, okay.
With what?
Does our experience at youth club affect our experience with the game?
No, I don't think it affects our experiences with games. I mean, I don't think it changes
enjoyment?
it. Maybe our enjoyment, is that what you're saying? Anything, yeah? Well, I don't think it changes it at all. It just enriches it a bit because we have to be a little bit more decisive about what games we play with the youth. But at the same time, it doesn't change or affect in any way. It just kind of enriches. It furthers our experience with the games. That's another facet of gaming that we have to take into account when we're choosing what games we're going to bring to that particular kind of group. So it's another cog in the wheel, I guess you could say. But yeah, I guess.
For me, it depends. There are some games that I enjoy so much more because kids really get into them.
Right.
And a good one is not even board gaming, but role-playing. Many years ago, I ran role-playing a superhero game, Heroes Unlimited, which I made up the rules because they don't include them, I think. But we played it. I played it with adults, and it was fun. But adults, the entire time, are like, "Oh, wait, I got a +1 modifier here. Oh, you forgot that rule. Wait, we can do this." I'm like, "That doesn't even make any sense." Yeah, but the rules allow it. Blah 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 blah. With kids, I'd be like, "You're dead," and the kid would be like, "Oh man, okay, let's go." You know, and I could say I was like the ultimate DM. Everyone listened to me. They weren't constantly saying, "Wait a minute," pulling out a rule book. And I enjoyed that facet. Kids are not so rules lawyer-ishy. You can play a game, and very rarely will they be like, "Let's look in the rules." Well, I'm sure you've all run into people who do that. So, and that, I actually, for some games, I like that a lot better. Right. Let's just run and gun it.
Yep.
I was just curious what a typical week is like for you guys. Is it mainly filming, playing games, traveling? Just a typical week?
Well, during the summers, there's a lot of all of that actually, because we do have a lot of conventions that we're going to, thankfully so. But I would say a normal week for myself consists of Monday I'm filming at home, and then for the first half of the day and the second half of the day I'm editing, and then I'll come to his house on Tuesday mornings, upload everything, and then if there's anything else that needs to be edited that's been put into our Dropbox, we do that. Any other work that he has for us, we'll do that. Wednesday is another day at home for me where I am recording, maybe doing battling brushes, whatever. And then Thursday, upload anything else that I have for it, and then do more work. And then Friday is usually the same as the later half of Tuesdays and Thursdays. If we have
I know you're going to say
everything done that we need done for the week and possibly for the first couple of days of the next week, then we might be able to play a game.
Yes.
So
playing a game is the lower priority.
Yeah, that is very last on the totem pole. That is a very small percentage of our time.
We play the games we review.
Right.
We just do it. And other times, like at night and stuff.
Yeah.
But like on the clock, we don't do it as much. For me, I start work on Sundays. On Saturday or Sunday, wherever I do it, I do board game breakfast. I get it all recorded and done. That's a good chunk of hours, and it's in and out doing different things. Monday, I start recording. I try to record as many reviews as I can. I do a lot of component drops on Monday. Tuesday, I used to do all my editing on Tuesday. Now I've hired an editor, so Tuesday is now my administrative day because there's a lot of emails.
Yeah.
I get about 100 or so a day, and then there's social media, and we got to post them to Board Game Geek, and we have to go and cry at the comments from Reddit.
I don't read Reddit. Stay away from it.
Keeping track of, we're setting up convention schedules, like Origins, we're going to be doing live stuff, and so I'm working on that. I mean, every convention, we need to have it scheduled to some degree, so that's a lot of work going in there. Okay, I'm going to do this, and do this here, we're going to eat here, we got Kickstarter, I'm working on Kickstarter stuff all year round. Wednesday, I record more. Thursday, more administrative stuff. Friday, yeah, like you said, sometimes we get to play a game. Unless the following week is a convention week. Then we do all that times 2.
Yeah.
Because we need to record double the stuff. My goal is to never have a down week on the Dice Tower. I try to put up 5 reviews a day, or 5 videos a day.
Yeah.
I get very unhappy when there's less than that. We will take a week off, Dice Tower Convention Week, and maybe Christmas. No. We take Christmas off, but I'm saying we might not put any videos out. But I like to always have videos.
Thank you, Mr. Scrooge.
All right, next. This lady right here. Yeah.
How many times do you play a game before you do a review, and do you ever get a chance to sort of have a slow burn game that you go back to?
Okay, so the first answer is enough.
Yeah.
I play a game until I think I've played it enough before I review it. There's no set number, and it could be half a game. There are games that are that bad. Usually it's not, but there are games that table flipping moments.
Yeah.
Do I go back? Sometimes. We actually just discussed this on one of our back talks.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many good games out there that if I don't like a game, it's just not worth it to go back. I don't feel like I owe it to the game. There's occasional times where I feel like so many people come and say, you got it wrong, you missed it. All right, I'll go try it again. Like I'm going to go try Zolkin again because I didn't like it, but I liked all their other games. There's a new expansion. There's enough variables in the mix. So I'm going to go back and check that one out. But even then, I'm not in a hurry. I'll get around to it. And that's not fair, but it's these guys' fault. They're publishing way too many games.
Right. I usually try to play a game as many times as I can before I review it. Sometimes, if it's a very simple game, once or twice is enough, and you've pretty much seen everything that it has for it. Other times, you may need to play it, for myself at least, once with every player, different player count to see how it plays with the different number of players that it involves. So that could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. Really, like Tom said, you play it as many times as you need to understand the game well enough to be able to review it. And each game is different because each game is different. And it just takes sometimes more. Sometimes you've got it on the first one and you know exactly how you're going to feel about it.
And I don't mean to be egotistical, but because we have played thousands of games, I can usually tell almost instantly how much I like the game. Now, I have been wrong. I've read the rules and said, this is amazing, and found out that, lo and behold, it was not. Or I've read the rules and gone, I don't know, and I played it and I said, oh, that happens less often.
Right.
Usually I'm disappointed by it sounded good, but it doesn't play well. If it sounds bad, usually it is. There are games that come in and I say, Sam, you touched it. You got to review it, and Sam's like flicks it over to Z, and Z's like, I'm not. You know?
it's like a game of hot potato in the room there.
But in my life, first impressions for board games, the more we play, the more I'm almost always, they don't change. It does. I can't even think of one recently that has, though.
Well, there have been some games recently where they've been sitting in your garage for a while. We hold the games that come in on shelves in his garage, and yes, there's dehumidifiers in there and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I got to say that.
Yeah. So we hold them down there, and it's kind of a queue in order for us to go and review them, and that's kind of a thing that we do every so often. When we leave Tom's house, we'll stop in his garage, see if there's anything that we want to take with us.
They keep taking the good stuff.
So yeah, I mean, we take all the stuff that looks good, the stuff that we're excited about, that we've heard something good about. And now, around this time of year, as the new convention season has begun, we're left with a lot of games that don't fit any of those previous monikers, where they don't look that good or they haven't had very good buzz, and we're kind of having to slog through them at this point.
Right, we can't review everything.
Right. So there's been a lot of them, at least in my experience, at least 4 in the last 6 months that have just really kind of popped out and said, hey, here I am. So I took it, and I was very pleasantly surprised. And these were on the bottom end of the ones that we weren't expecting to enjoy. So coming back around, first impressions are either key or they're very deceptive, because there's a lot of games that I've reviewed here recently that initially our impression with the game was not very good. But coming back around to them a little bit later, not bad at all. She's already on her way.
This is a good workout. I apologize.
You need to get a helper.
Hi there. Do you guys ever wonder whether your reviews if you do a negative review, because you are now the #1 reviewers, that you impact a game's sales so much by what you might say? For example, Lewis and Clark, you kind of said it wasn't one of your favorite games recently, but Joe Eddy has really raved about it last year and said, that's brilliant. But by you saying it's negative, it kind of goes, oh, and the sales dip massively because of what you've said.
The fact is that we really have no idea how what we do affects sales that much, unless a publisher only sold them through us. That's the only way we can know. Yeah. I know that we affect sales to some degree. People have come and told me I bought this or didn't buy this, but I don't think we can hurt a game, especially one like Lewis and Clark, because it's that big of a game. A good example would be DC Deck Builder. In my opinion, gasoline, match,
warm fire.
Yes. However, the game has sold probably a couple 100,000 copies.
Right.
So I didn't stop it.
Yeah.
So I feel like, I mean, also, if I did have that power, I would use it. All right? There are many games out there that would be gone very shortly. And I think, actually, the worst review I can do for a game is a mediocre review. If I say, it's okay, that's the kiss of death, really. But if I say, I hate this game, people are like, oh, you got to go watch that review Vasel did. And then people say, oh, I hate that guy. Reddit, they're like, oh, I hate that guy. He's so pretentious and full of himself. I'm buying that game just to show him. The publisher's happy. It's a win-win. Well, someone's not winning, but I don't know.
Yeah.
But really, I think it's the strongly opinionated ones that are the best. And that's the way I do too. When I go to Board Game Geek, I read all the 10s and I read all the 1s because I want to know why they hated it and why they loved it. Those 6s, whatever, that's not useful to me. I mean, I understand that's your rating, and if the game has only 6s, I'm not interested. If it has a lot of 1s and a lot of 10s, I'm wondering which end of the scale am I going to be on. So I think we affect sales. Well, I mean, we do, but I don't think we can destroy a game unless you're a small publisher, you have 1,000 copies, you send it to me, and it is bad, and I say it's bad, and people can see it's bad. That can affect your sales, but I'm not sorry about that because you should have made a better game. And I know that sounds really mean, but we're in a very competitive environment, and if you're making a game, you need to play test it not with just mom and friends, but with a lot of other people. And if they tell you it needs fixing, you need to fix it before you publish it. But if it's just me, if it's a game a lot of people love and I hate it, it will do okay.
And one of the things I was thinking about was the fact that if you become too worried about how what you're going to say is going to affect someone's sales, you're headed down a potentially dark path, because then you might be nicer to a game than you should be, just so that you don't hurt somebody's sales, and that's doing you as the consumer a disservice.
Right.
Because I think we should be, of course, nice in how we are honest, but that doesn't diminish how honest we should be about a game, because honesty and integrity is really, I think, one of the things that we're trying to build the Dice Tower on. No matter what game you're looking at, hopefully you know that if you come to the Dice Tower, you can get an honest review from honest people. And not that I'm saying anybody else is doing anything different, but that's what we're trying to do. And so if we concern ourselves too much with, is what I'm going to say affecting someone's sales? Yes, we need to be mindful of that so we don't fly off the handle and say something half-cocked. But at the same time, we cannot be concerned about that because we need to be honest in our reviews, if that makes any sense.
So I don't want you to stop doing it.
Yeah, no, I understand what you're saying, yeah.
Hi Tom, hi Sam, long-time listener, first-time caller. And my question is, with the mass popularity of video games, are you surprised by the rise of board gaming in the last 10, 15, 20 years?
Well, video games have been out now for, well, about 40 years or so, and they've been consistently growing, huge leaps and bounds. But I think the biggest change in video gaming in the last 10 years is this, right? Everyone is playing video games now. Everybody. It used to be when I was a kid, me and my friends played Nintendo, and the jocks at school laughed at us, and only the nerds played video games, and it was usually boys who played video games, and that's changed now. Everyone is playing video games. I sit on the train or the airplane and everyone around me is playing Bejeweled and all that. And so because of that, people are actually playing board game-ish stuff on these. So then they'll see that, oh, that's kind of like what I was playing on my phone or whatever. Or the advertisement, the internet. The internet is the #1 reason. Rado's wrong. He says it's Kickstarter. He's totally wrong. The #1 reason is the internet. The internet has made board gaming explode, because it used to be, if you wanted to play board games, you went down to that shop on the corner, which my mom said I could not go to because the people there looked like criminals, and you know, the smoke came out the door when you opened it, and the guy at the counter looked like he hated you, and that was the only place to play games. Yeah. There was other places, but now you can play games. You can go online and say, oh, there's a meetup group. Oh, there's Facebook. And all these places to find gamers. There's this convention, which is friendly. And that sort of thing, I think, that has made gaming explode. Yeah. So video gaming has also exploded, but board gaming, the internet, we owe it a great deal. I mean, also, that's our job.
Yeah. I think there's a dichotomy that's going on in our society today. And again, this is my opinion, that with about, a couple pounds to get you a cup of coffee in the other corner of the room.
You need like 4 or 5.
Yeah, 4 or 5, that's true, yeah. Well, my opinion's worth a couple of pounds too, right?
Oh,
no,
okay.
I'm just kidding. But I think you know, Tom held this up as far as how much video gaming has changed. I think this is also why board gaming is becoming more popular, because while people are very enthralled with these little machines, there's also a definite undercurrent there of people wanting to be more sociable to counteract what this is doing to our society. I mean, you've probably seen it. People walk around with their heads down staring into these things. I've seen it actually less. I know I do it too sometimes. But they do it less here that I've seen than in America. In America, you can walk into any room and out of 20 people, 18 of them will be looking at a device. So I think there's a definite push for a more sociable greeting, a more, I guess, connectedness around a table rather than just staring into a device.
Hi, I've got a question about Kickstarter. I read a couple of reviews recently, one about Blood Rage, a game you're familiar with, and I actually kickstarted that online. And the reviewer was quite disappointed because he felt that because he had just got hold of the base game and none of the extras, that he felt that the game there was something lacking. And there was another review about the recent Ghostbusters game that came out that also felt that there was something lacking. Do you feel that Kickstarter's going a bit too OTT with all the extras and maybe destroying the actual base games that are coming out?
I really think that all of these stretch goals and Kickstarter exclusives they're great, especially with Blood Rage. All of that stuff that comes in, great, super. I reviewed another game recently that I really enjoyed the concept of it, but I later found out after I did the review that many of the problems that I had with the game were fixed with exclusives or stretch goals that the Kickstarter provided that I didn't get in my review copy. So I think those stretch goals, those Kickstarter exclusives might be doing more disservice, especially to us, the reviewers, because it's not giving us a true read on the game.
No, but it is giving us a true read on the game because that's what people can buy.
I guess.
They can't get the Kickstarter version.
True, but I understand that. But what I guess I'm trying to say is that if you're going to design a game and you're waiting, you're keeping some of those crucial elements of the game as a Kickstarter exclusive, that's a horrible thing to do. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. Now, with Blood Rage, I don't think that your enjoyment of Blood Rage will change. If you don't like the base game, all of the extra stuff will not help you like it more.
And you also have played it like 30 times without any of the extras.
Not 30, but
200 times.
I've played it more. No, not that either.
500.
No. I've played it definitely more as just the base game without any of the other things. And I enjoy it greatly. Everything else that gets added to it by all of the exclusives and whatnot only enriches that. It doesn't hurt it at all, or it doesn't change it at all. You're still playing the same game, you just get to do more in it, which could be good for some and bad for others, but yeah, I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, on my list, if I have a time machine, on my list, go back, get Hitler, but also the guy who invented stretch goals, man.
Yeah.
Because it's such a part of a Kickstarter now that you have to have them. On a Dice Tower, we have to have stretch goals on our Kickstarters. I make stuff up. Am I ruining? Am I like?
Kind of, maybe.
But I understand that they have to do it. So I don't mind Kickstarter exclusives as long as they are not game changing, right? I mean, we're getting games now where I'm like, where's these cards? They're in the rule book, and they're like, Kickstarter exclusive only.
Yeah.
Why? Why is that even in the rule book? I would prefer for Kickstarter that you say, here's a miniature. The base game comes with, a cardboard cutout, and this miniature, great. That's a nice Kickstarter upgrade. Here's some alternate artwork. Things that don't change the game. But if it's a critical part of the game, what was that game called? We're calling them out. It was a zombie game.
Yeah, it was like War Age Z or something to that effect.
Yeah, World War Z.
No, it was War Age Z or something to that. Dark Age Z. Huh?
No, it wasn't Z World War. Dark Age Z.
It was
I
Dark
think.
Age Z is what it was. It was a mashup. It was modern world zombies were coming through a portal and landing in medieval times, and they were bringing with them all of these different things, and it was really interesting. You ramped up the level of difficulty with all of the zombies and all that kind of stuff, but some of them were really, really difficult, really strong. And I was told that oh yeah, well, if you just had these Kickstarter exclusives, that all evens out.
Right,
So
the game is much harder as the base game.
They left a balancing agent of the game and put it as a Kickstarter exclusive. I mean, that's moronic in my opinion.
I also, my thing to all companies would be make your stuff semi-exclusive. By that I mean, hey, you get it now, you get the Kickstarter, you get a cheaper price, and you get this thing that we're not going to release for another year. But then in another year, we're going to release it. Because why would you? It just makes me mad. All right? Because they're hampering themselves. I'm so tired of Kickstarter companies doing the Kickstarter and that's it. They don't care about the follow-ups. But it's not on the consumer it's on us now to determine whether a game is good before it comes out, based on a bunch of reviewers who are all positive, who are all going to say good things about it because they don't put the bad ones up. It's all good stuff about the game. Of course it's going to look good, and you have to guess whether the game is good or not before you buy it. And so that's what they're making people do. Once it's out and everyone says, oh, it's not really a good game. And there's a lot of those. There's a lot of amazing looking Kickstarters that are horrible games, and they don't care. They've already sold it and they move on to the next one, and people back it again. Stop backing these bad companies. If their first game is bad, their second one is bad. Stop it.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, but what were we talking about? The exclusives, yes. But at the same time, I think that stuff is cool, have these extra things. I just think it should not be game-changing. And you should be able to get it later. Like all the Dice Tower stuff, promos, that you can get from Dice Tower, like Sheriff of Nottingham promos, we said they're semi-exclusive. You can only get them through the Dice Tower for a year, but after that, you will be able to get them in other places.
Right.
They might show up in the expansion later on. The Mage Wars promos, for example, many of the Mage Wars promos we had have started to show up in expansions that have come out for Mage Wars. And that's what I like. That's what I ask companies. I say, I want something I have for a little bit, just me, but then it should be available to all those people who hate the Dice Tower. They should be able to get it too. And there's a lot of them.
Yes, there is.
Hiya. Guys, thanks very much for coming over to the UK and coming across to see us. I've listened to your podcast for a number of years now. I was a Magic tournament organiser. Now I'm a board game retailer here because of some of the reviews you guys have done, which have been great. My question for you is, do you hate games in tins as much as I do? Because they just dent, they fall over. How do you feel about them?
Games in what?
Do we hate what kind of games?
In tins. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Have your tin rant. In tins, the boxes, the metal boxes.
Oh yes. Well, did we not just?
That was a softball, man, wasn't
Wait,
it? You just was like, here, have that.
This was in the one thing we would change in a game thing.
Yes.
Well, okay, it's the same argument.
Yes.
The little ones I don't mind, but I dislike the fact that they're raised so you can't really stack them. I dislike the fact that if they get dented at all, they're useless. I hate that they open up and all the pieces fall out. They don't fit on the shelf very well. They're hard for stores to put on the shelf, which is very problematic. They look pretty, but it's deceptive. It's makeup.
I like when my wife wears makeup too.
I am not even going to jump on that.
Not saying that she isn't beautiful without it, but she looks better with it, right? So I actually like tins. I like tins. What? She does.
No, I know, but I mean, what can I say at this point?
Nothing.
Well, no, Sam.
So you get the ideology there. I mean, I understand that it might be a little bit, and again, I don't wish that every board game comes in a 10, but if one does, and it's a good one, great. I like those. They add a little bit of class to them. You're shaking your head. You disagree with. That's fine. Disagree with me.
Okay, this is what I'm doing.
You don't have to.
I'm going to make I make notes down. I'm going to make a new segment on Board Game Breakfast and say Stupid 10 of the Week.
Stupid 10 of the week.
If I see one, you're getting on that segment.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, let's change it to Stupid Tim of the Week. That's a different thing.
All right.
Sorry to all Tims.
So I don't think that every game should come in at 10, but
Any.
I like it sometimes when they do.
Hi there. Yeah, my question is about how your video content has changed over the years, your YouTube videos. When I was getting into the hobby and I've watched many of your videos, and I have the impression that they're getting shorter and quicker and snappier. I wondered if you agreed with that. And also, I just wanted to share that something I really enjoyed is like I used to be able to watch a board game video with rules and everything lasting for about an hour, but now if a video is more than 10 minutes, I'm really not interested. I don't have time for that. And that's the sort of attitude I'm finding I'm developing. And I was wondering if you were sort of aware of that, or were you getting feedback about that? And then the other thing was the board game Blender slot, which goes through many different games briefly. That really appeals to me, and I've really enjoyed that, because rather than watch 15 minutes on this video and then 15 minutes on this game, you know, I like going through many games briefly. That really appeals to me. And I was just wondering about, how do you feel your video content is developing?
Well, first of all, Z's not here, so you don't need to say nice things. That's a waste of time. Wait, am I clarifying? Did you ask us if what we thought about our videos getting sloppier?
Snappier.
Snappier.
I thought you said they were shorter and sloppier. I was like, yes.
Consonants are important.
When people do videos for the Dice Tower, I'm always on their case. Shorter, 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 shorter. I say that all the time in many different ways because I really believe shorter is better. You want a rules explanation? Rodney Smith exists for that reason. So do these guys over here, I guess, that are making electronic rules. My goal is to give you a feel of the game. So I get bored after so many minutes. Actually, 13 minutes is our limit now, but that's the reason 13 minutes exists, because I believe YouTube videos used to not be able to go over 13 minutes. There was some rule in place. I forget what it was. So I say 13 minutes now, but I try to make them as fast as possible. And the reason I make Board Game Breakfast, which is better than Blender, the way it is because if you don't like the show, just hang on 2 minutes, and then maybe you will. And so shorter is better, with the exception of our top 10s. They're longer, and I'm always surprised that people watch them, but they're our most watched videos. But if you make a long video of a review, like a 50-minute review of a game, you will get fewer views. You can just go to YouTube and see that, and it's just not that useful. People are fast-forwarding to the end to find your opinion anyway.
I think one of the reasons our top 10s are a little bit more popular is because of what he said. Well, he likes to watch one video and get a lot of different games.
That's true. We talk about 30 games.
We talk about, on average, 25 to 30 games every top 10, and so that's probably one of the reasons why. Plus, people just like to see people argue as well, so that's another reason. So I'm probably one of the most frequent transgressors of the 13-minute rule.
Long-winded, I think is what you're looking for.
I like the way I put it better. But if you go back to when I first started making reviews, about a year ago now, I was having trouble getting underneath 20 because I am long-winded. I do, and the reason I'm long-winded partially is because I don't want to leave anything out, because what I think might not be a very important thing might be very important to somebody else's understanding of the game, and that's what's going through my head when I'm making the review and when I'm editing it. So I guess I've learned a little bit to be a little bit more succinct in what I say and accurate. Still not there, of course, but now I'm around the 15-minute mark, so I'm getting closer, but we'll see. But to answer your question, I guess, it is deliberate. Yes, it is on his mind. And yes, he does talk to us if we go over.
Nicely.
It is now 1:46, and I am reliably informed that we have run out of time. So if the gents would like to say one more thing, we'll be done.
Yeah, we're really thankful that you came. A lot of you did not get your questions answered. So it is on you to encourage them to tell us to come next year. We'll answer them then.
Or you can just email us the question and we'll answer it that way as well.
Well, you know, on the show, we're like 7 months behind on questions.
I'm not.
So look for his email online.
SamuelHealy@gmail.com. Define, go ahead.
Thank you so much for watching the Dice Tower. For those of you on video, thanks for coming, everybody. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
And I'm Sam Healy. Thanks for joining us, folks.